Hi everybody, Dacob here. Welcome back to the Fashion Bunker. Today is Twin Peaks talk time. So we are reviewing Don't Die, episode number 6 from season 3, 2017 of Twin Peaks. Written by Mark Frost and David Lynch, directed by David Lynch. It is an entire... such an odyssey. Okay, I'm so thrilled. First of all, everything that... Where's my giant? Somewhere here. Come through, giant. Oh, there he is. The giant told us in the beginning, in episode 1, two names, Richard and Linda. We've seen Richard. Probably it's the Richard the giant was talking about, which is Richard Horn, in the prior episode. And Richard returns in this episode. Unfortunately, Richard has a lot of issues with drugs, and Richard has a lot of issues with his own character, personality, identity. And under the influence of drugs and this contorted lack of self-esteem that he has, he's literally capable of running over a kid and killing the kid. That was the most emotional moment of the episode. It was devastating. But I guess necessary within the plot line, because the character of Harry Dean Stanton would that way show us that he also has some sort of gift. Either it's a gift, it's a gift because it's been given to him, or it's a burden perhaps, but he sees something that resembles the ghost or the spirit or the soul of the kid while the kid is dying in his mother's hands. This kind of yellow, souly, spiritual mass of light kind of just ascends. It leaves the body and goes into the sky, and you could see that he sees it go up, and then he goes to the mother. He walks towards the mother. All the other people, the extras, are all standing around looking and acting pretty badly, if I might add, because some of them are like holding themselves and hugging them. I don't know. The extras didn't do the best job, but the main character, the main actors in that scene were incredible. The mother was really sad. I really felt very, very emotional. But so he walks towards her and kind of looks at her as if he's with his eyes communicating what is going on. Now, the scene we see with him prior to the incident, sitting on the bench in the park, looking at the skies and kind of looking down, seeing her pass by with the kid while the kid was still alive, and they're kind of this weird game of the kid running, 10 steps, and then the mom running to catch him. She catches him, then she lets him go, and the kid runs again 10 steps, or 10 or 20, whatever number is relevant in this case. Or maybe it is relevant, but I didn't count how many steps the kid was running. I ain't that obsessive yet. I might get there in a couple of episodes more. And then she runs to catch the kid again. So I thought that was I never played those sort of games with my parents or with my mom when I was a kid, but I found it perhaps in a very abstract, cut way, because it's just like, you trigger, you stop. You move, you stop. I found it an interesting metaphor of what life is, with kids growing up and the parents kind of running after you, catching you, protecting you, and then letting you go, and then you got to live your life. And then you kind of live it, and then you're in a pickle all over again, and then your parents run again to catch you, protect you. You know what I mean? It really felt that way because, of course, this was the first time I was watching the episode. I didn't know the kid was going to die. So the second I saw that sort of interaction with his mother, I had this kind of metaphor, this kind of resemblance of what life is. The kid being free, leaving the nest, but the parent always being there behind you, ready to kind of fix things. Except Lynch and Frost show us that life, as life really is, you can't always have that protection. And you cannot always protect your kids. It just isn't possible always. Sometimes life just hands us the wrong card that day. So that was a really beautiful, painful metaphor, but beautiful metaphor to see. Very poetic. Kudos to you guys for that. I found it very painful. Let's open up the giant. I found it very painful to see, Dougie again. It's becoming really too much in a way. Cooper as Dougie with Naomi Watts. Richard and Linda, two birds with one stone. Who is this Linda? Linda is in the Fat Trout Trailer Park. So we haven't seen her yet, but she has been mentioned. And so we know that she's also from a very poor environment, from a very messed up environment, just like Richard. Well, he has the rich surname, Horn, but he's a mess. He's a huge mess. And great casting, by the way. The actor just totally, visually, his face is a mess as well. Like just how the proportions, the lines of his features portray trouble, a lot of trouble and mystery, but also attraction in a weird way. We also get to see Red. Isn't that weird that he's called Red? He was flirting with Shelley in the Roadhouse a couple of episodes back. I think it was in episode 2. And he kind of shot her. He also shot with his hand, you know. He looked at her and he was like, bang. Bang, bang in the Roadhouse. Haha. Pun. And he did the same thing to Richard. If you see him already mixing stuff up. Fascinating how Lynch messes with my mind. I think he did that. Now, fascinating about Red. So we have this kind of talk about drugs, and Richard is trying out this drug which causes, it's almost like speed-like. It causes a rush, which also contributed to him ultimately, you know, killing the kid, because he was just so aggressive and his kind of ego was so pepped up by this drug that he just, you know, didn't care about other human beings. But what we see is Red playing a game with a dime. And was it a dime? Nickel? Yeah, no, I think it was a dime. He throws it in the air, and then kind of the dime just kind of starts twirling in the air, twirling, twirling, twirling. It doesn't go down, you know. And Richard is looking at it, it's like magic. And then all of a sudden, it's in Richard's mouth, and yet the dime also falls back into Red's hands. And then Richard takes the dime out of his mouth. Red shows the dime. Richard sees it in his hand. There is no dime left. The guy turns it, and it's heads, and he says, I'm always going to be heads, you're going to be tails, so you're going to lose. I'm going to kick your butt if you do anything wrong by me, because, you know, I'm going to move now to Twin Peaks. It's a great way to do business with drugs in this city, and nobody's going to stop me. And Richard says, yeah, the police here is all sleepy. Nobody cares anyway. So it's a weird kind of discussion, but that magic trick and the fact that that dime kind of, again, comes back later in the episode. Perhaps it's even the same dime. Maybe Red paid something. You know, it goes through, money goes through a lot of hands. The dime ends up in Hawk's kind of pocket or something, and then it falls down in the bathroom, in the sheriff's office, in the sheriff's department. And Hawk kind of follows the dime, and then the dime kind of falls on heads, and it's an Indian head, you know, and then he picks it up, and he turns towards the door of the loo, and then on the door of the loo you have another Indian, N-E-Z, I forgot the other part of the name. And then he starts looking at the door, and the toilet door is screwed, but one screw is off. He pulls, you know, the bit of metal that's kind of part of the door, and he sees there's a paper in there, so he kind of breaks the whole panel of the door, and we see 2 pages of something that were hidden in that door. I am guessing it's Laura Palmer's diary, the pages that were missing. I'm not so sure. But then again, if it were Laura Palmer's diary, then, and if Cooper hid it there, or maybe it wasn't Cooper, maybe it was Annie. I don't know who hid it there, but whoever hid it there, was it hidden to hide it for a future? Because, I mean, Cooper could have just burned them. You know, I don't quite get what it is. I don't know what document it is yet, but I would presume it's Laura Palmer, because the pages look like they were torn out of a notebook, so I guess it's Laura Palmer's diary, the pages that were missing. But we're gonna see it. We don't get to see it in episode 6, but we will get to see. We will probably get to. Of course, we're gonna get to see it either in episode 7 or 8, because at this point, you know, as we see in episode 4, in episode 4, Gordon, you know, mentions somebody drinking in some bar that would know what is going on with Cooper. Actually, this person, if this person were to see this Cooper that's in jail, which is the evil Cooper, the long-haired Cooper, this person might probably be able to know and say more about him and figure stuff out quicker than anybody else. So we all started thinking it has to be Diane. But we got no answers in episode 4, ended with that. Then episode 5, no talk about Diane. Gordon Cole is not looking for her. We don't know what's going on. And now in episode 6, we finally get that tiny storyline kind of resolution. We got our answer. Yes, it was indeed Diane. And for all of us who were thinking about it from day one, we were thinking, you know, who's going to play Diane? It's either going to be Naomi Watts, but of course she's not because she's Dougie's wife, or it's going to be Laura Dern. And bam, we get finally Laura Dern. She never looked so magnificent and beautiful. I mean, she's a gorgeous lady and she looks amazing in every role she plays, but we see Laura Dern in every part she plays. But today, she nailed it. She for a second, of course I knew it was her because I know her body. So even when she was turning her back to us, I know how her hands look and her shoulders, and she's very structured. So I knew it was her before she turned around. But then when she turns around, for a second there, that face, you know, with that wig and the makeup, it's just so beautiful. It matches her perfectly. Makeup, costume design, hair, magnificent. Laura Dern looks, and also, might I add, my dear, you look at least 15 to 20 years younger as well in that tiny snippet. You know, you don't say a word, you don't speak, but no words are needed. We see your face and we're in love with you. I'm in love with you every time I see you on camera, but I'm in love with you all over again every time I re-see you. And I was not expecting Diane to have this kind of blonde, almost like a bob haircut, but Bob, not the character Bob, but kind of a bob cut haircut. Oh, interesting to see. You think that has anything to do? It's very Vidal Sassoon. You see, now, here's where fashion, and Lynch is very connected to fashion as well. Don't ever underestimate the power of style and fashion within Lynch movies. I know a lot of people, especially the straight guys out there that are loving, you know, Twin Peaks, but you never have that susceptibility and sensitivity to certain details that Lynch has, even though he's straight. Vidal Sassoon is an incredible hairstylist who invented the bob haircut, literally, and it's all hand cut. Now, I know that Laura Dern has a wig on, and it's probably been, you know, cut not just by hand, but the fact that that haircut is a bob haircut, we've seen so many numbers playing so many roles in this series. I'm sure this is also not a coincidence. She will be the key to realizing that the long-haired Cooper is not really Cooper. She might not know what his name is. She might not know, oh, that's Bob. But she is essential in realizing who Bob is. And she's wearing the Bob haircut for that occasion. Rewinding back to Stanton's character and the electricity, a very important thing to note, when the little boy dies in the car accident, the mother's hugging him. We see an electricity pole with a 6. And that is a similar 6 that we see maybe it's even the same font of a 6 that we see in The Missing Pieces, or in Fire Walk With Me, The Missing Pieces. And then there's a 6-digit number that begins with a 324 something. Oh my God, I'm remembering numbers. This is crazy, Lynch. What are you doing to me? On this electric pole. And the electric pole is crackling. And the electric pole is in extremely near proximity of the actual event that took place, of the actual, you know, homicide. I mean, the accident, homicide, I mean, the accident, the death of the kid, you know, on the street took place right next to that particular electricity pole. And then we have the camera panning from down up. So that is very essential and very important to understanding even more about this electricity running through the lodges and making things happen or not happen in Twin Peaks. And coincidentally, that number on that electricity pole, I noticed, is, correct me if I'm wrong, I might be wrong, is the same number that the guy in the office in Las Vegas, or where was he, types into his safe. You know, he turns around, he has this gorgeous 70s looking office with the windows all around him, and then he turns around, goes down, opens the desk or opens this kind of furniture piece, and there's a tiny safe in there, and he digits 6 numbers. The electric pole had 6 numbers, and the first number he digits is a 3, I think, so he does like 324. I kind of tried to look at it. I think he digits the same number that the electricity pole has on it. That, if that's the case, my mind is blown yet again. And then it's as if that electric pole, with that electricity beeping, whatever, after the kid died, generated that document. It's as if that safety lock deposit, whatever box, would kind of, you know, within it, this envelope would just appear with a black dot on it. It's kind of like a stain. And so it's as if he, like, because he was, this guy was on his computer typing, and then like a red square opens up on his screen, almost like the curtains of the red room. And when that red screen just kind of like spreads out into a square on his monitor, it's like he knows, oh, okay, so he turns the red thing off and he knows he has to go to his safe. And there's an envelope in there that we're going to realize in a couple of scenes later is delivered to a midget. I don't know if he's a midget or a small person. I don't know what's the correct terminology. I don't want to offend anybody. The little man, let's just call him the little man, because I really don't want to offend anybody. So I'm so sorry if that offended anybody. But the little guy, which is an interesting, he's so aggressive. He's a killer. He's literally a paid killer. And it's so fascinating that we don't have the little man from another place anymore. He has turned into the evolution of the arm, a tree with kind of a talking brain fudgesicle on top of it. And yet we do get a little man again, and he's very aggressive. And I wonder if Lynch kind of portrayed him that way also, maybe to make fun, of our original little guy from the 90s, because, they had a falling out, and, a lot of nasty things were said. The little man from another place said a lot of nasty things. Lynch didn't say anything bad about him. But anyway, so now he's portraying this little professional killer, like a ruthless, heartless little creature that just like gets that envelope delivered, and we figure out finally what was in the envelope that was taken out of the safe. And it's two pictures. It's the picture of the woman that we see in episode 5. It's the woman that at the beginning of episode 5 kind of triggers all the coordinates and codes for Argentina, Buenos Aires. And she also calls her, mafia squad to kind of go and see Dougie's car and I guess eliminate Dougie or steal the car or whatever. So she did not come through, obviously, with the task she had, and now she has to be punished because Dougie has not been killed. The car has not been retrieved, but it exploded. So everything that she wanted to do didn't go right, except maybe what went right were the coordinates for Buenos Aires. But at this point, because she's being killed by the little man, I don't even know if she did that even right. Maybe even that went wrong for long-haired Cooper. 2 pictures were in the envelope. So we see the little guy rush into her office. Always the same music plays when she's around, when her storyline, where her plot line is around in the series. He stabs her with this tool, and it's very ruthless, and he just keeps on stabbing her and stabbing her. There's a lot of blood. It's very, very vicious and very, very, very aggressive. And then he runs, and then he kills some more people, and then he notices that he bent his little hook thing, and then that's when he shows compassion. It's like he has this emotional connection to this tool, this weapon tool that he uses. So he looks at it, it's all bloody, his hands are bloody, he's full of blood, and the tool is bent now. And he kind of, you could see that he's sad that his baby, his tool, his little baby, got bent. And that's the end of that scene. Now, I opened a parenthesis before, and I didn't close it yet, about Dougie. It's becoming frustrating for me to see it, but alas, it is what it is. This episode is so full of information. It's incredible. I'm already at 20 minutes. The video is going to cut off. Dougie, still has his task to fulfill. His boss told him to go through all of those files about insurance, the Lucky 7 insurance company. And we have again the Black Lodge or the White Lodge or whoever from another space and time helping him, because as he's kind of going through the files, we have little dots of light appearing in specific strategic parts of every case file. And then he starts drawing ladders, lines, very Lynchian, very artworks of Lynch, kind of ladder. You got to go up to come down again. You got to go around the ladder. It's like he's describing his path of going through the different worlds and the different levels of consciousness within the Black Lodge. But at the same time, what he's doing is he's filling a sort of a puzzle piece so that his boss the next day would go through these files, look at them and think Dougie's crazy. Why is he just scribbling and scrabbling over these papers? But then, because the boss is very clever, you gotta be to be a boss of an insurance company, obviously, you gotta be shrewder than the shrewd. He figures out, oh, wait a minute, there's a connection. This drawing there, that dot connects to that. He circled that name, that address with that address. It happens very quickly. His boss connects the dots like that. He doesn't explain to us what went down, but he says, thank you, Dougie. Don't talk to anybody about this. It's like Dougie opened his eyes. His boss finally understood where was the corruption, what was going down, what was wrong within this insurance company, who was tricking who. He figured out some things, obviously, probably related to Dougie's other colleague that he kind of called out in the previous episodes, calling him a liar. So a lot is going to go down there. the Dougie part ends there in this episode, so we don't really know, what's going to happen next. But Dougie's on the good side of the boss. So the boss does not want to fire him, so he's safe as far as that's concerned. The one-armed man, or Mike, Al Strobel, he contacts Cooper, or Dougie, from the Red Room and says to him, don't die, don't die, don't die. I think he repeats don't die 3 times. He's like, wake up, like snap out of it. Very Cher for Moonstruck. Bam, 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 snap out of it. You cannot die. Wake the F up. You cannot be in this autism much longer, because shit is going to hit the fan very, very soon. So, Cooper he sees Mike talking through the carpet, very reminiscent of season 1 and 2, when Sarah Palmer looks at the carpet, and it's the same color carpet, by the way, as well, same tone of carpet, and she sees, either the stain on the carpet or Bob or all these visions happening through the carpet. I love that it all happens through the carpet, and this is interesting that happens to the communication between the Red Room and real life happens to, or the Black Lodge, and the real life happens through a carpet, because that's the place where we always walk. That's where all our lives happen. We change furniture and clothes a lot, but the carpets and the floors in our houses and where we live are the things that stay there the most. They live to see the most of our lives, of our experiences and everything that happens to us. They're like almost, carpets in a house are like trees in a forest. Lynch loves his trees because trees tell tales. They're there for hundreds or thousands of years even. Well, not thousands, but hundreds of years, some of them. And the same happens kind of, parallel to an apartment. In an apartment, the carpet is what you change the least amount of time. So the carpet stays in a house for the most amount of years. So it just is the most natural kind of, in my mind, connection to something that knows more, something that tells a story. The carpets see things and know things that we don't, because they're always there. They're always there, day and night. That's very fascinating to note as well. Carpets are fundamental. And I know some apartments or houses do not have carpets, but just like wood flooring. But in that case, it would be the same. I just think that within the aesthetic that Lynch is using in Twin Peaks, the carpet is more, in a way, maybe rural, more of these kind of like small town realities. And also, carpet never says really rich. And that's kind of also this kind of lower class, up to mid-class type of style going on there. So the carpet tells usually stories of pain, because it has witnessed, either abuse, violence, witnessed. It has seen it happen within the houses. So I think that's what also makes it very scary, because we also associate carpets very often with something dirty, because they keep collecting all the dirt and all of our dirt. So I find carpets very powerful, just as Lynch finds trees very powerful. Except trees are alive and carpets are not. So, now, I said in my last review and thoughts on Twin Peaks episode 5, I said, Shelley, Mädchen Amick, looks too much like Mädchen Amick. Her hair is too perfect, it's too coiffed, it's too red carpet ready, too Hollywood. Well, it's as if the Lynchian gods from up above heard me, because in episode 6, they delivered. Shelley is back to being Shelley. Her hair is a bit messy. It's picked up in this kind of ponytail. It's very rough. There are no beautiful, clean, blonde curls. Not every curl has been styled separately. She looks like our Shelley, like the Shelley that we know from the 90s series, and that was amazing to see. And finally, we also got the shot that I love the most of the Double R Diner, which is like from the entrance, a little bit to the side of the entrance, and then we have the booth, and then we have the actual serving spots and the bar, and then we have like all the booths on the side. And that was so beautiful to see, because we haven't seen that perspective yet, and now we're back to that perspective, and I'm loving that. That's my favorite perspective of the Double R Diner. And we see Heidi. Heidi is returning, and it was so delightful. It filled my heart with joy to hear Heidi's laugh. I can't do it. Her, I don't know. I can't do it. Like her way of like giggling, almost as if she, and they called her Heidi probably because like it's very reminiscent of yodeling, the way that she gigglingly laughs. And it's the exact same giggle, the exact same laugh like from season 1 of Twin Peaks in the 90s. That was so beautiful. Even her hairstyle is like almost the same as it was back then. Incredible. They nailed it. I literally I was time warped in the past. And then we have that beautiful golden yellow hue and patina throughout that scene. We have, again, those warm tones we're so used to seeing in Twin Peaks. And Heidi, is having an interaction, is talking to this school teacher, I suppose. Chubby little lady, but super cute. Cute as a button, who had 2 slices of cherry pie. We got the cherry pie. She's loving the cherry pie. She's complimenting them for their cherry pie. She leaves a huge tip. And Shelley's so sweet. She says she leaves so much tip. It's like she can't afford that much tip on her salary. Next time we should treat her for a free cherry pie. Sherry's so loving and careful and attentive to other people. Typical for Shelley. Unfortunately, also typical for Shelley, she falls for the wrong guys because she is falling for Red, the guy who is the biggest criminal at this point in Twin Peaks, a ruthless magician killer who probably also has something to do with the Black Lodge, because if he can do all those magic tricks and those mental games, maybe it was just kind of Richard Horne's, tripping under drugs, thinking he saw that, but he didn't really see that, or maybe not. But Shelley's falling for Red. Just like she did for Leo Johnson. She actually married Leo Johnson. We don't know where Leo Johnson is. Is he alive? Is he dead? Is she still married to him or not? Lynch doesn't want to tell us that because in the credits he does not state her surname. But so she has this naive beauty about her. Shelley is all giving. She's a giver. She takes care of people. She's very motherly and nurturing. So she's even so sweet to this customer who leaves a big tip, this lady, this lovely, lovely, sweet lady, who unfortunately will be the only real witness to see Richard's face in his car after he drives off like crazy, after he hits the little boy on the street. So this lady that just ate 2 cherry pies and left a huge tip, and that's going to get a free cherry pie the next time she comes by the Double R Diner, she's the witness of the accident and the incident. She sees his face and he sees hers. He knows she saw him. He knows that she knows who he is. So she might be in deep trouble. He might be coming after her. Right after he cleans up his truck in the front from the blood of the child that he just brutally murdered without a blink of an eye. So seeing Shelley's hair is incredible. Diane is incredible too. She is literally... I said everything I can say up to now about Laura Dern and Diane, but I wonder, Gordon Cole was hinting at her being, a guzzler, she's drinking a lot, and yet I was expecting the FBI team to find her in a bar under a table, literally, like so drunk, messed up and everything, and yet no. She seems very sad. Laura Dern has been briefed to be sad or whatever. She's still in pain for the loss of Cooper, probably, obviously. But she's composed. There's not one hair out of place. The makeup is flawless. Her clothes are perfect. You know what I mean? She's not an alcoholic. She's not that lady that even doesn't have a name, that lives in front of the house where Dougie's car exploded, the 119 woman, the drug addict woman, that keeps on coming back in every episode. And she came back in episode 6 again to repeat 119, 119. It's as if she knew what was going to happen before it happened. Or are we getting finally hints and tips that are showing us in retrospect, like a flashback, of her saying 119 from episode 1 and 2. I don't remember if it was in episode 1 or 2. It's as if we're getting the same exact shot of her now that she knows that maybe her kid told her that, or that I don't know if it's her child, but the little child, that witnessed the explosion of the car. It's as if he told her mommy or whatever, sister or whatever she is to him, foster parent, I don't know who she is to him, that there was an explosion, and it's as if now she's reacting to it and saying 119, like call 911, but everything is in reverse. Why is everything in reverse? It's as if we have seen her say 119 before the explosion. So what are Lynch and Frost trying to tell us? That sequence is repeating itself now all of a sudden. So either we're not having any time warps, but what we are having are flashbacks. So either Lynch is showing us, and is it future, is it past? Mike keeps repeating in the red room. What was the past? Was the past in the first 2 episodes when she was saying 119 and taking her pills, drinking them with alcohol? Or is it past now that she's telling us 119 again, when indeed it already all happened before? Or is she just in a loop and keeps repeating it because she had some really bad thing happen to her in the past? I don't know, maybe she's in her own mental loop and it's totally disconnected from the actual explosion that happened in the house in front of her house. We don't know. I guess it's all a mind game, and we're meant to think a lot of different things. Maybe there really is something to this theory that a lot of you are putting out there, that the entire, Rancho Rosa, double R, Red Room, double R Diner, RR, Rancho Rosa, that whole installation there is kind of like a time warp. But then again, very disconnected from Dougie, which makes me believe that it's not just a time warp, is that Naomi Watts, she confronts, and she's badass, and I loved her in that scene like in no other. My God, was she incredible? I mean, guys, was she incredible when she confronts the 2 guys that want the extortionists? They want the money from Dougie plus interest. So what was a loan of 25 grand became 50 grand. And she's like, are you freaking kidding me? We're poor. We got no money. We barely have a car. We barely have any income. And you want to, she's like, I'm giving you 25 grand and that's what you're going to get. And you're going to keep it. You like it or not. If you don't like it, you can walk. And she guts them whipped to a T. They are completely obedient, completely passive to her power and, might I add, attraction. And she gets away with it. She gives them 25 grand, goes, and they're good to go. That's set. Another plot line kind of closed. But you see, what makes me feel like we're not in some illusion world where, Cooper's being tricked that he's in some place when indeed he's in the purgatory. He's between, the lodges and reality by being stuck in Rancho Rosa. He knows nothing of this scene. He knows nothing of her paying off these guys. So it's very disconnected from him. So I don't really know. On another note, what is fascinating, we've been seeing Shelley'S name pop up in the credits at the end of every episode. I think every episode until now. And yet she does not appear in the flesh, in every episode. And a lot of you have been asking yourselves, why is that? Well, the same happened to hooker Jade. She just appeared in a photo in this episode, and yet her name is in the credits at the end of the episode. Shelley'S name is also credited, and now I figured out why. Because Twin Peaks, the opening credits, the opening theme song begins with her face, the photo of her face. So Lynch is either this is a new law, you got to do it, or Lynch is being so giving and so incredibly generous and amazing to credit a person even if they appear only in a still image, in a photo, in a shot. And Shelley actually does appear at the opening of every Twin Peaks episode. We have her photo that fades into the misty skies and forests and whatever. And that's just the thing I thought about because, Jade appears only on photo. Or was it a video snippet? Was it like a short? No, yeah. Naomi Watts receives photos of Dougie with Jade. And they're kind of bribing him. I guess they wanted Dougie to see those photos. So they're like, okay, we're going to tell your wife all about it if you don't give us the money. But then the wife sees the photos before he gets it. Dougie is totally mentally paralyzed right now, so he wouldn't be able to figure that out anyway, unless the Black Lodge wouldn't help him in some way. But I guess why the Black Lodge didn't help him with this particular photo of him and Jade is because I guess the Black Lodge wanted Naomi Watts to see what was going down to solve the issue, because she would have been the best solution to this problem of the 25 to 50 grand he was owing those people. Another beautiful moment of exchange with Dougie and his son. It was heartbreaking to see, Cooper put the potato chip on his son's bed, you know, even says, "No, I already brushed my teeth." And Cooper was like, "Well, I'll just leave it there for later." It was so adorable, so adorable. And then when they like started turning off and on the lights, loved it, loved it. Very emotional. But then again, you see, this is another hint at another time, isn't it? Think about it. This is a very 90s thing. I know Cooper is older now because 25 years have passed, obviously, but this kind of turning on and off lights by clapping, yeah, the technology still exists, but it was a huge thing in the 90s. Remember that episode of Roseanne? When, actually many episodes of the sitcom Roseanne, which by the way is coming back. I cannot wait to see the new Roseanne. But they would end several episodes with Dan and Roseanne in bed, and they would just like clap the lights off. You know, that was a huge thing in the 90s, very gimmicky. And it returns in Rancho Rosa. Interesting detail. Nothing is by accident. But the biggest mind-blowing moment was for me definitely just that David Lynch would kind of mind bend me and make me think that, you know, the electric pole's number was the actual code the guy put into the safe in Las Vegas to open up the safe to get the kind of the note delivered from the lodges or from whoever. Like, for me to even go there, for me to even kind of step that far to kind of see a connection between the code he's typing in and the poll, that means that Lynch really got to me. He totally got to me. He's in my head, and I wouldn't want it any other way. So guys, I'm so thrilled and happy to have seen this episode, to be enjoying Twin Peaks. It's a roller coaster ride. It's amazing. It's emotional. Actually, I'm going to end this video here and I'm going to rewatch the episode all over again just to see if I could find even more tidbits. And I'm sure I will. With every view, I'm going to find more. But it's so amazing. And could you imagine if it were only 9 episodes as originally planned? I would be devastated to be at episode 6 and only have 3 episodes left. No, ain't happening. Like, you need those 18 episodes, and gosh, even more, actually, because the pace is incredible. It doesn't need to be faster. I'm frustrated with Dougie because I'm kind of like, come on, snap out of it. It's painful to watch you. Not because it's taking too long, but it's just, it's too painful. So the pace is perfect. I totally understand why Lynch wanted to do more episodes than just originally planned 9. I totally get it. And I would do even more than 18. There's so much depth, you know, in these things. Oh, last note. When Stanton, you know, is like sitting on the bench in the park, we have the sequence. One of the last trailers that we have seen, actually the only longer trailer we have seen released prior to the initiation in the beginning of season 3, you know, we have snippets. We had Tracy there saying, "Try me." We had, you know, Stanton sitting on the bench and he's like looking up, and you had the feeling, you know, that somebody was coming towards him and he was scared. And you could see how Lynch plays with us that way, because in that actually snippet when he's looking up and is kind of scared, he's really not scared. What he sees there are trees and sky. Not a person coming towards him, menacing him. After that, the person's passing by him was the mother with the kid. And yet we have that intensity of that actor in his face, you know, looking towards, away from the camera. It's just so magical to see it, and to see it again now, within the context, within the bigger picture, we get more elements of the puzzle. And this is fascinating. The only snippet still missing from that trailer is Sarah Palmer walking through the liquor aisle in the grocery store. That hasn't happened yet. Also, what is fascinating, with every episode we get new characters added. You know, Lynch and Frost have thought this through very, very meticulously within every detail. So the new additions and character-wise in episode 6 that haven't been there before is Laura Dern as Diane, and the mention of Linda. What we know about her is that she has this wheelchair, that they're very poor, something has happened to her. We don't know who Linda is. Audrey Horne is a key player here. And my personal opinion is, you know, because by now we almost have all the key characters. They have been portrayed and shown. Some couple of seconds, some got more scenes. She's kind of the only major player still missing. Well, Wyndham Earle is missing, but we don't know if he's going to come back or not. Probably is. But And I think the more Lynch and Frost are postponing her arrival, and the more important and key is her character in this new Twin Peaks. So it's either going to be her helping to solve the mystery towards the end somewhere, or we're going to have this like typical kind of Lynchian fairy tale moment, which probably ain't going to happen, but she might be this damsel in distress. She might be the one, you know, like Sleeping Beauty, you know, after the explosion and at the end of season 2, she might be the one in a coma still, for real, and she needs her Prince Charming, Cooper, to come and give her a kiss to wake her up, you know, and make everything well again. Because she does hint at that in the 90s version of Twin Peaks, you know, whenever she talks about Cooper to Cooper himself, she's very dreamy about it. She always visualizes a sort of fairy tale together with him, with a happy ending. And there's always this kind of dreamy music surrounding her. And I don't know, I think she's a key player. She has a vital character role in this particular season. And that's why we're not seeing her just yet. Because there's this fairy tale aspect to Audrey that's still, you know, it's too early to showcase a fairy tale. Right now, we're in the gutter. We're literally in the inferno. We're elevating ourselves slowly into the purgatory area, and then we're going to end up in paradise. Now, it's a Lynchian paradise, let's not forget. So it ain't what you understand under the word and terminology of paradise. But as Cooper says, it's going to be, you know, wondrous and strange adventure. No matter what happens, it's going to be amazing. So guys, thank you so much for watching. Hope you like this video. If you have, please do thumb it up. Let me know what you think about episode 6 and this video in the comment section down below. If you haven't already but do wish to, please consider subscribing to my channel here on YouTube. I'm also on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. I will be reviewing every episode as it comes out from the new Twin Peaks season. So, you know, tune in every week to see a new rendition of my thoughts and my thought processes and what thoughts Twin Peaks triggers inside of me. So let's do this together. It's super fun. I am wearing a red room kind of jacket. You can see the zigzaggy floor and it's red on the inside. Okay. Never give up on love, guys. See you soon. Take care. Bye.